Hi everyone, this is Arcadius and welcome back to Naval Creed. Today we will be going over the HE secondaries on the French battleship Joan of Arc, or as I have the sister ship, I've renamed her Bourgogne. Now, the ship isn't really focused on secondary power at all, not to the extent that I like with my Alsace. Mainly for Joan of Arc, we're going to be focusing on rate of fire and gun rotation speed. She's like a really fast firing battleship. I have her reload down to 18 seconds at this time. And even with the reload, quick reload booster as well, we can cut that down even more. So she's pretty much focused on main gun firepower and speed. But secondaries do have quite a decent range, 7.2 kilometers, same as Alsace. Though I only have the captain skill applied, I do not have the module. I run her with the main battery enhancement module, so we are not getting the full range that we possibly can, but that's alright, we don't really need it. So the secondaries, you actually lose a few secondaries, believe it or not, when compared to Alsace. Along the side here you have, actually let me pull up the original Alsace so I can show you. Alright, so for this Alsace we have twin 100mm guns all along the side of the ship, and then we have triple 152s on the center line here. Now for Joan of Arc, we actually have a little bit different setup. So we still have the 152s, though they are a new turret design, but we have twin 127 dual purpose guns on the side, but we only have 4 per side, whereas when we had the 100mm on Alsace, we had 6 to a side. We lose a couple of secondaries, but gain some more AA. These are twin 57 mils. So, I mean, it's a little bit more AA power. You lose a little bit of secondaries, but honestly, these secondaries are better because 127s can pen more armor than 100 mils. As we could see in the, what was it video? The Clemenceau video. The 100 mils couldn't even pen the Tashkent. It had to be the 152s to actually do damage. So having 127s means that you can actually do a little bit more damage with your secondaries now. That being said, I still do not recommend a secondary build for her. Even Alsace isn't that good, but it's still usable. But still not the best at this tier. So for Bourgogne, at 9.6, you're going to be going up against tier 9 and tier 10 battleships, so you're going to be always pretty much the underdog. You have quite a few guns, don't get me wrong, that shoot really fast, they reload really quick, and they have good rotation. Your accuracy is not sniperish, but it's good enough. I mean, you're sending 12 shells downrange every single salvo, so something's going to hit at some point. Secondaries, when they were armor piercing, they did do damage. Don't get me wrong, at 7.2 kilometers they will hit targets and they would do damage. High explosive, it's gonna shatter a lot more often, but also at this range your secondary shells are coming in at an angle that it's impacting the superstructure versus the belt armor. So we had that issue with ships like Bourgogne and Clemenceau, where it was just such a short range that the secondary shells were never going to hit the superstructure and therefore not really doing any damage. With these higher tier chips such as Alsace, Joan of Arc, and even France that we'll go over on another time, they come in at such an angle that they actually are able to hit the main superstructure, and that's where they do their damage. So let's toss her into a game and see what we can do with these HE secondaries. Alright, let's see what kind of game we have today. Quite a few battleships. Actually, we even have a teammate. A tier 8 Lenin. Interesting. And some cruisers and 1 or 2 destroyers, it looks like. So, let's see. What am I going to start with here? I'm going to start with armor piercing. The way that this map is that we're going to have quite a few ships on this side. And so we may be able to get a good broadside hit on them. And the Lenin is over there. Hello. Alright. So, as mentioned, we're pretty much just a rapid-firing 15-inch shotgun. Though I wouldn't say shotgun. You actually do hit most of your shells, if not enough of them to do a decent amount of damage. Your secondaries are well, secondary. And then your AA is pretty good. It's not the best, but you will shoot down aircraft, but it won't protect you from any kind of carrier strike. And you don't have any Def AA to protect you, but you do have a few fighters that'll help split up squadrons if you're lucky. Most of the time, fighters are just good for spotting and torpedo spotting. So we're gonna start off with armor piercing. No, we're gonna start off with high explosive. We're gonna see if we can light some fires first. Now I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied, so this is not the base ship. And how are you doing? Okay, cool. Alright, so we have no carrier, that's good. A Centurion, a Bourgogne, a Yamato, a Monarch, a Lenin, Minotaur, Alaska Nakazuki. I've seen quite a few Monarchs, speak of the devil, and they're so hard to take down effectively. Even with large caliber armor piercing shells, I just keep getting overpent, so the best way is just to burn them, in my opinion. And so that's what we're going to do. Though it would be nice if we actually got a fire when we shot high explosive. Alright, let's try again. Now this ship is a really good cruiser killer, and even on the broadsides of battleships, we can do a decent amount of damage. We got 2 fires on this Monarch already, got a good chunk of damage down. I'm not using my reload booster because I don't feel the need to. Where are these other battleships going? They're going towards me, so we're actually going to slow down here. There's another 13k with just high explosive. Our secondaries are opening up on this Alaska. We're not going to go through the nose by any means, but we may do some damage through the front superstructure there. Got another fire, and a few thousand more damage on this Monarch. This is pretty much the only way to beat those ships. You just have to burn them. Alright, let's get some good damage here on Alaska. 7 shatters, even with my 15-inch guns. So we are actually getting some secondary damage. That's nice. Alright, so now we have these battleships coming out. I'm going to switch to armor piercing here. Where is... Yep, the Yama and Monarch are coming this way as well. 2 fires, 13,000 damage. The good thing about Alzis, and pretty much Joan of Arc as well, is that it doesn't matter what kind of shell you're using. If you use high explosive, you're going to do a ton of damage. If you use armor piercing on broadsides, you're still going to do a ton of damage. So it's really good in that regards. We're actually going to use a reload booster here, because I don't really want this bird going to shoot me. That will definitely hurt. There we go. And might as well just rush in here a little bit and finish off this Yama and other Monarch. We're going to focus our secondaries on the Monarch here. See if we can get any more fires on her. And there we go, another fire, awesome. 5 citadels on the Yama. And you can just see how the ship is so good. You just reload so fast, and it's 15-inch shells. I mean, yes, it's a smaller caliber at these higher tiers, but it's still going to hurt if it hits you. And add to that, you have really good speed. You can equip a speed boost if you want. I prefer to use the gun reload booster because of how quickly it takes 10 seconds off of your gun reload. And for me, when I have my gun reload at a base of 18 seconds, that means I have an entire another salvo in 8 more seconds. Which is quite deadly when it goes against battleships, especially at broadsides at the angles I shoot at. Alright, so let's finish off Yama here. Goodbye. And now we have a Lenin, Nakazuki, and a Centurion. So that Centurion over there is pretty much broadside, so we can punish that. We even have a little bit more main gun range than Alzis. We have about 600 meters more, which isn't a lot, but it is still a difference. And so our shells are coming in. As you can see, it's kind of shotgunny at long range. only 3 hits, but we still are able to do damage. And like I said, you just send so many shells downrange that it doesn't really matter. This is kind of a strong angle for Lennon, but she might turn out a little bit more. Our gun reload booster is back up, by the way. Yeah, that's not going to do much here. Alright, let's put a plane in the air. Let's see if we can find that Centurion again. Though the Lennon does have a pretty nice route. Never mind. Alright. There we go. There's the Centurion. Reload booster. We're actually going to cap the base too. That's nice. Citadel, 26k. Oof, that Lennon just got smacked. 18k. Nice. And we should be almost done here. Might as well use the heal, even though we don't really need it. And let's see if we can finish her off with this salvo. Though I don't think so. Oh, yeah, with the Citadel we can. Awesome. Alright, so let's see how we did. We didn't have that many secondary hits, but I still feel like it will be a good indicator of how the ship performs as a secondary brawler. Alright, so we were able to do 364,000 damage, 4 ships were sunk, 125 shell hits, 10 citadels, 7 fires, 1 module destroyed, 1 capped base, 1 assisted capped base, 3 defended capped base, or well, 3 defended bases, and 63 secondary hits. So out of those 63 secondary hits, we were able to do just under 7,000 damage, which is actually pretty decent when you compare it to how many shell hits we have. I had an earlier game where we had like over 2,000 secondary, nah, 2,000, yeah, 200 secondary hits, and I had about 7,000 damage. So it really depends on what targets you're hitting. So for example, there's Alaska. Yes, we did do a salvo of HE at her, but she did take further secondary damage. We did see that. Even the Monarch and the Amato, when we were closing in on them, they took some secondary damage. We lit some fires with our secondaries. So they're not completely useless. They're just not as good as they used to be, which is just a common theme when you switch from armor piercing to high explosive with these larger guns. With that, I will wrap up today's video. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for further content. And join me tomorrow while we go over the apex of French battleship design in this game currently. And that will be France. And it'll be even better because we have quad 6-inch guns for our secondaries now. So again, thank you and take care.